Hey, welcome to CA Uncensored, a very special edition. We have none other than my friend and one of the major stars of the WWE. Now he's like running the company, or partially running the company. Triple H, what's up, man?
How you doing, man?
Thanks so much. Look at that, you don't know your own
Marty
strength.
knocking things over.
So I see your arm. Everybody knows about what happened with Brock.
Yeah, a little bit of a misunderstanding with Brock Lesnar, and we got a bit of an altercation, and he kind of did some damage to my arm here.
Yeah, and you're not the type of guy, I mean, to take to that very lightly. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some repercussions. Can you tell us about what the strategy is for your revenge? What are you plotting, man? I know you're up to something.
You know, I'm not necessarily plotting anything. This whole thing stemmed from a business misunderstanding between Brock and myself. And Brock in the WWE, actually, and he had some ridiculous demands that we weren't going to cave into, and when I told him so, he attacked me from behind. You know, I don't want to see Brock Lesnar fired. I don't want to see Brock Lesnar to run and hide. I want to be able to, there's a lot of things I want to say to Brock Lesnar, but I want to be able to say them to his face. So sooner or later, he'll decide to show his face again, and when he does, we're going to have another discussion, and this one will be face-to-face instead of with my back turned.
Well, a couple of things. When somebody has their back to you and they take essentially a sucker shot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? Does that piss you off that like he couldn't do it face-to-face?
Yeah, I mean, he waited until I turned, and then he jumped me, and you know, it's typical for me. It's typical Brock Lesnar. Brock's complex kind of guy. He wants things his way. He wants everything to benefit Brock Lesnar, and when he doesn't, he's not afraid to take his ball and run home. So
do you think he's intimidated by you?
You know, that could be a factor. I mean, there was a point in time when Brock and I were both in the WWE together, and you know, he went to go to another show. I was on Raw. He went to go to SmackDown, and we really never faced each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's intimidation or if that's just circumstance, but you know, here we are years later, and coming in from different worlds and different angles. But if he wants to try his luck, I'm ready to go.
So his background is obviously wrestling. Then he got into the UFC. Well, he was obviously with you guys first, then went to the UFC. He tried to, procure mixed martial arts and really kind of engrossed himself in mixed martial arts for a period of time, short period of time,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's back with, or was supposed to come back with you.
Yeah.
Do you think he has an advantage because he was at the UFC, or do you train in?
Not necessarily. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, he's going to step in the ring, in a WWE ring, if he's going to do something with me, and if that happens, and you know, I think he's kind of ensured that maybe it will, if he's willing to step back in. So I'd love to do it, and if he thinks he has an advantage, great. I hope that he thinks he does.
Bring it.
Yeah, bring it. I'm not ready right this second, but once I'm healed up, I'd love to take that test, because you know, there's a lot of tough guys in the world, and
He thinks he's the toughest.
yeah, well, we'll see.
You know what's interesting is that you know, I've known you now for years, and you remain in insane shape. What's your regimen?
You know, I've always weight trained, although in the last few years I've really kind of changed my philosophy on that and gone from, you know, in the years past when you're younger, and you and I have talked about this, your diet doesn't need to be so strict. I could just go to the gym and just kind of train as a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. But when you're just going in and bodybuilding training, you're kind of not necessarily hitting all the small connective things. And when you're an athlete, those are the things that really matter. So about 2 years ago, I started training with a guy, Joe DeFranco, and he's one of the premier strength and conditioning trainers in the country. And he has made just a world of difference in my career. Some of the stuff, you know, I could lift a lot of weights, but
like, what do you bench press?
Probably in the low 400s right now,
Yeah.
And that's the strongest I've been in years, you know, and that's from, it's funny, it's not really from training heavier in the bench press, it's from training all the other things
smaller muscles
that support these little exercises that he'll have me do with
no
like
weight.
2 pounds or something like that, and I'm shaking like a leaf doing them because the little muscles are weak. And as they get stronger and in better condition, you can just in your bigger exercises, you can lift so much more and you can perform so much better. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to say that at 42, I'm probably in better shape athletically than I was when I was 32.
And you also train a little bit in boxing.
Yeah.
Is kickboxing as well? You do?
Yeah, I do some kickboxing. Although I tend to like to work a little bit more with my fists. My guy's always trying to get me to do more kicks and knee strikes and stuff, and I tend to like to do a little bit more boxing. But yeah, it's something that I enjoy. I'm not a real big guy on, especially now that my wrestling career has slowed down and I'm focusing more on business. I'm not a guy that can walk for an hour on a treadmill or run on a treadmill for 30 minutes. I'd rather do mitt work for 30 minutes or heavy bag or speed bag or something like that and be more active in that way. It's for me, it's much more entertaining,
And what kind of comes to mind is so to stick on the Brock subject just for a little bit more. So here's a guy that goes into the UFC, right? How old is he?
I think Brock's in his mid-30s.
Mid-30s, all right.
Yeah.
Would that be something you would ever entertain?
No. It's a different world. I truly think that, Brock, for me, that was something that he was kind of custom built for. I think I've known him for a long time, and when he first started with us, I'd never seen a guy that size at near 300 pounds, but just lightning quick and fast. And his background in amateur wrestling really made him very well suited for MMA because he had such a structural background in takedowns and controlling guys on the ground. And then for him was just, I think, improving his striking and his submission work. But yeah, for me, I'm it's like the line in Gladiator. I'm an entertainer.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm sure you would entertain many people if there was ever a match between you and Brock.
Well, we'll see if it ever happens. I think it'll be good.
I mean, because he obviously crossed the line. I mean,
he crossed the line.
You're in
Vegas
Vegas with your wife,
Yeah.
Stephanie McMahon, hanging out. Come to my show last night, Believe.
Yeah. Which was phenomenal, by the way. I really,
we'll quote you on that.
Yeah, it's something that again, I've known you for years since we had
my start.
Since your start in Times Square, and always been a fan, watched your show and all that. And we've kept in touch over the years, but this is the first time we've had a chance to come and see your Vegas show, and we were both blown away. I mean, it really is a phenomenal show.
Thank you very much.
It's fast-paced, it's exciting, it's funny, it's got a little bit of everything. It's really good.
Well, that's the thing. I saw you guys and I see your arm. I'm like, dude,
yeah,
wow. You're here to Vegas and it's like, walking around with it's like you're
job hazard.
Yeah, you got seek revenge, my friend. Seek revenge.
I'm on my way. It's just I got to heal up first,
So tell us, how did Triple H come about? The name.
Oh, the name.
Yeah.
It's funny, jump back to when I started in the WWE, back to like 94, 95, and it was so much more character driven. Our business was very character driven. You had to have a very distinctive character. You were, the big boss man as a cop or a fireman or something like that. Everybody had to have a very distinct gimmick, and I was brought in as the Greenwich, Connecticut blue blood snob called Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And as the business changed and we became much more of a reality based and a lot less character driven.
Right.
We're very character driven. That's what drives our business, but less cartoonish.
It became more you.
Yeah, it just became me, but I just had time invested in the Hunter Hearst Helmsley name and didn't want to get rid of it. So everybody in the back called me Triple H. And that kind of nickname just stuck, and that's what we went with.
And how did you get your start, though? How did you, because back then, we were talking about this in the car driving over to the studio. What's interesting was